So what are we learning about the world today? What's Trax News all about in the latest report? Well, it's the level of corruption your government is in. You have this little example right here. All right, somebody's in the FDA, they're in the government, and they're in the individual pharmaceutical companies that have such a vast, tight grip. How do they do it? Well, you know, a congressman, whatever their salary is, $200,000 a year, obviously is not enough for them. All right, they need millions and millions more. Insider trading and all sorts of little back channels and wire transfers for corruption, and that's where the money is. The pharmaceutical companies, case in point, you know, one of the patsies that they had that was able to commit extraordinary misery on the planet is this guy right here.
Recommended to the president that we shut the country down. First of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down. I recommended to the president that we shut the country.
Just a complete lying piece of shit. But what do we really want to break down here? What's really the problem, the root cause of the problem? The root cause of the problem are the people that believe pieces of shit like that. They can't figure out that he's a corrupt, lying demon. Right? You know, I remember watching when they're beginning the Jimmy Kimmel, you know, and Fauci's like, Fauci, the voice of reason, the voice of science. You know what I'm saying? They believe it. They get duped, the masses, and they get what they deserve. And that's the most dangerous part of the world, because where are we heading? What's really going to happen? Right? You got thieves at the top. You got pharmaceutical companies with their tentacles. You got oil companies on the Republican side, the war machine on the Republican side. On the Democratic side, the big corruption is China and the pharmaceutical companies that will prevent any cure for a disease, anything if it interferes with their profit margins. That's why you have a failing healthcare system in the United States. You get sick, it's going to be hundreds of thousands. But this guy's a hero right here. Listen to this.
The spike protein can mimic cardiovascular tissue. And so if our immune system creates antibodies to the spike protein, research is suggesting that it gets confused and also creates antibodies to cardiovascular.
Yeah. So this is the big problem. The vaccine can can mimic some people's, hopefully not a lot, cardiovascular system, and then attack them and kill them. Because your immune system is now attacking your cardiovascular tissue. That's why you get people dying suddenly, and stories like this. 5 to 50, 6 months after taking the Pfizer, body gave up fighting. So different people, different stories. Confirmed, not confirmed, conspiracy theories, so on and so forth. Think about the world that you're living in. You're living in a world where a man-made virus made by this piece of shit Fauci, which was promoted by the people behind him who were pushing him to do it, to study gain-of-function research, was released on the world, killing vast amounts of people, elderly people, putting them all through hell, medical malpractice, respirators, lies, masks, lockdowns, failed businesses, nobody got punished, child exploitation and pedophilia all behind all that. That's the world that you're living in. And then you have this forced vaccine, which could quite possibly be taking lives of even more innocent people. And why is that? Well, the people are getting duped. They're stupid. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to deal with the consequences. And that's that. Then you have this horror show. I'm not even going to play this person, whatever. So what are we going to do about it? I don't really know. I know I'm not participating in any of that. I'm playing my part. I'm explaining to people the truth as best I can. And it's the duped morons that think Trump was the bad guy and this and that are the ones that are responsible for the chaos and the misery that's going to ensue in the world. What are they planning to do? They don't care about you. They want you to be a slave, right? Slavery is their favorite thing, okay? They are going to be able to monitor every transaction, live in a cashless society, control your every movement. You have no voice, you have no control. Anybody who speaks out is going to be ostracized, and they're going to have absolute control, so they could sit here and their favorite thing to do, go on an island and exploit children, because all that happened all comes back to one real person. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein is at the crux of it all. And that's why he was suicided and swept under the rug. And nobody, you imagine the power it takes to have guards asleep, to have the courts and everybody to be able to brush it all away. Ghislaine Maxwell swept away with no trial, with no. Imagine the power it takes to be able to do that and perpetrate these types of crimes. That's what you're up against. And you have the power to vanquish that like that in an instant. But you got to be brave, right? If Oprah comes in here or whoever or some elite or something like that, you have to not bow your head and buckle to Bill Gates or whoever it is. You got to stand tall and demand the questions, demand the answers for the serious matters. But people are easy to dupe, and they get all their Congress people, and the game goes on and on and on and on and on. So as long as you're not playing that game, at least you have a clean soul. You're doing your part. That's really what it comes down to for me. I've been on this pandemic from the beginning. I've been explaining everything I could as best I can from the beginning. And, I don't participate in that. I try to explain the truth. I try to give you the best perspective that I can. And I dot my I's and cross my T's. And that's what you could do. As a regular person, you could just not participate in that. And then hope and wait for the rest of society to wake up and start standing up for themselves and not be fooled. Because as soon as you're not fooled, is as soon as a piece of shit like Fauci and all these other people, it's already buckling, but it's not buckling fast enough. 3 years of this guy duping, of the entire world, and they're just starting to wake up to the WHO, the World Health Organization, and turning off the comments and voting for Joe Biden. If all these idiots, right, that election was stolen to begin with, but if all of those people, didn't give them such a margin that they could cross over, he wouldn't have got elected anyway, because you can't fake the whole election. It's the fucking morons, the 40% that vote for Joe Biden thinking he's going to be a great leader and Trump is a bad. Those are the people that caused the catastrophe and prevented the opportunity of Trump stomping them out, which could have also led to some problems, I guarantee, but not as bad as it is now. So what does it boil down to? You got a massively corrupt government here in the United States at this point of time. On the Republican side, with the oil companies and the war machine. On the Democratic side, with China and the pharmaceutical companies, all leading back to sexual exploitation of children. And it's all happening because people can't get their shit together and can't see things as the way they are. And they tell themselves lies and delusions about trans, and they think they're good people. They're not good people. There's not enough good people to go around. There's too little of them. That's why your life and your world is shit. And it's going towards some sort of a point. And you could get caught up in the wheels and get ground down in some miserable situation. Or you could survive. I'm going to do my best to survive through it, but it's very sad to see.